Yeah, we live.
All right, I think we're streaming live now. So should we start?
Just give it a second.
Okay.
Yes, good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. A very good evening to all of you. I'm Rashima Varma, and it is indeed a pleasure to be here with all of you today on this beautiful spring evening. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for joining us. Spring has always been one of my favorite seasons. You know, it just seems to bring so much hope, positivity, and optimism with it. And that, my friends, brings me to why we've all come together today for a very, very special reason indeed. And that is the launch of best-selling author Neelam Kumar's new book, titled I Am Invincible. This very special book beautifully represents the very essence of optimism, hope, and positivity. I am invincible. There's something about the title, isn't there? It's courageous, it's spirited, it's fearless. 13 true tales of courage, grit, and survival. A true celebration of the unbeatable human spirit. My word, this is a book that really needs to be read. My heartiest congratulations to Neelam ma'am for writing a book that is sure to make a huge difference to a lot of lives out there. I'd also like to congratulate the book bakers for representing this incredible book and carrying it through its journey, as well as Fingerprint Publishing, the wonderful publishers who've given it such a fantastic outcome. All right, before we move forward, I'd like to take a few minutes to introduce our wonderful panel to all of you. Let's start with the author of the book, Neelam Kumar. Neelam Kumar is a best-selling author of 10 books. She's a motivational speaker, a life skills coach, a TEDx speaker, as well as a biography writer. She has written India's first humorous book on cancer, followed by its graphic novel version, funded by legends Mr. Amitabh Bachchan and Mr. Ratan Tata. Also among her acclaimed books are the ones she has co-authored with the legendary Mr. Kushwant Singh and the more recent book, Healed, actor Manisha Koirala's biography. Represented by the book bakers and published by Fingerprint Publishing, I Am Invincible, 13 True Tales of Courage, Grit, and Survival is her latest and 10th book. Neelam ma'am has also been felicitated with the prestigious Nargis Dutt Memorial Trophy. Welcome, Neelam ma'am, and heartiest congratulations once again.
Thank you very much, Rashima. Thank you. Honored to be here.
We are honored to also have with us today Priya Dutt. Even though she needs absolutely no introduction, I would like to say a few lines about her. Priya ma'am has donned several hats. She's a member of parliament, a trustee of the Nargis Dutt Foundation, a wife, a mother, a social activist, a friend, and a common citizen as well. She is the daughter of the legendary Srimati Nargis and Shri Sunil Dutt, who have been great humanitarians. Her greatest influence in her life has been her father, Shri Sunil Dutt. Her turning point in life came in 1987, when she accompanied her father on a 78 days peace march from Mumbai to Amritsar, covering a distance of over 2,700 kilometers with the message, "Give peace a chance." It was a time when the country, especially Punjab, was under a cloud of violence and communal discord. This walkathon gave her unforgettable insights into the real India, which touched her heart deeply. In 1988, along with her father, she marched from Nagasaki to Hiroshima, Japan, for world peace and nuclear disarmament, spreading the philosophies of the great Mahatma of brotherhood, understanding, and nonviolence. Priya ma'am has been a member of parliament for 2 terms, and during this time, she played a very important role in uplifting the needs of the poor, empowering women, and improving health for her constituency and beyond. After her father passed away in 2005, she not only continued the political legacy he left behind, but also spearheaded the Nargis Dutt Foundation. The foundation works in the areas of health and education, has grown by leaps and bounds, with having equipped 80 to 100 hospitals across rural India with medical equipment, holding medical camps for the poor, cancer screening camps, and holistically developing rural schools with clean sanitation, clean drinking water, computer labs, playgrounds, e-learning, extracurricular activities, the list can go on. She is also the trustee of ADAPT, formerly Spastic Society, and works towards the rights of the differently abled. Her favorite quote is, "The world needs dreamers and the world needs doers. But above all, the world needs dreamers who do." She believes no child should lose a life or be unable to pursue an education due to lack of funds. Priya Dutt ma'am has been a voice for the voiceless and is passionate about making a difference. A very, very warm welcome to you, Priya Dutt ma'am.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Neelam ji, for inviting me here. Thank you so much. It's a great honor for me.
The honor is completely ours.
Thank you so much.
We also have with us today Pooja Dadwal. Pooja is Deputy Managing Editor at Fingerprint, the publishing house that has published Neelam Kumar's book, I Am Invincible. Thank you so much for joining us today, Pooja. It is indeed a pleasure and a privilege to have you here with us.
Thank you, Rashima. Thank you. So happy to be here.
And now I'd like to introduce the very dynamic and multi-talented Suhail Mathur. Suhail is an award-winning and best-selling author of the historical and mythological fiction, The Bear of Putra, and the mythological fantasy, The Hunt for Rama's Bow. Suhail is also a TEDx speaker and one of the country's premier literary agents via his agency, The Book Bakers, through which he has worked on over 700 books. Suhail has also worked as an English cricket commentator for Star Sports and Airtel's mobile app. He is currently heading the new content development at a prominent entertainment channel and has been involved in the creation and acquisition of fiction, non-fiction, and animated shows. A very warm welcome, Suhail.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Absolute pleasure to be here amongst so many wonderful people. So looking forward to a cracker of a session.
Absolutely. We are also extremely honored to have with us tonight Mr. Ashwini Bhatnagar. Mr. Ashwini Bhatnagar is a veteran journalist who has held editorial leadership positions in reputed newspapers like the Times of India, the Tribune, Sunday Mail, and the Pioneer. He has also been the channel head of 2 news channels. Ashwini sir is also a renowned best-selling author and has authored many, many books, some of which are also being made into films and web series. Welcome, Ashwini sir.
Thank you very much. I really look forward to this session.
So do we.
So do we. And finally, there's me, your moderator for the evening. Now, it's never easy to speak about yourself, but I'm going to try. Well, I'm a strategic business analyst with over 20 years of experience in the corporate sector. In my work as a business analyst, I work across a very diverse range of industry and functional segments for a large number of leading international and transnational corporates. I'm also an author, columnist, and poet. My writings are regularly published in leading national and international publications. My first book, A Break in Love, represented by the Book Bakers and published by Vishwakarma Publications, is going to be released very soon. So that's us, the panel. And we're all looking forward to a wonderful discussion about a wonderful book indeed. But before we begin the discussion, we need a drum roll, because we are going to go straight to the moment that all of us here have been eagerly waiting for. And that is the official unveiling of I Am Invincible. Could I request Priya ma'am to kindly do the honors and please launch
For
the
sure. It's my honor to do this, Neelam ji. I'm going to really tear this apart. Sorry.
Please do.
So here is the book.
Wow.
I am invincible.
We can all
And-
show our own.
Yes.
comics. So,
We
yeah,
also.
And it's wonderful.
superb. Makes for a good photograph.
Looks beautiful. And the cover's gorgeous, as are the
Lovely.
contents. We know what the contents are as well. Thank you so much, Priya ma'am, for doing the honors. And congratulations once again, Neelam ma'am, for writing such an incredible book. Like I said before, it's going to make a huge difference to a lot of lives out there. It's got everything going for it. You know, it has so much hope and courage and promise, and it's like a sea of possibilities out there. So do tell us, share with us, what is it that inspired you to write I Am Invincible?
Thank you, Rashima. Before I say that, I would like to say 2 lines about our chief guest, Madam Priya Dutt. You know, I know her for a long time, and I can easily vouch for this, that she's one of the most humble and finest human beings I have ever met. Her
That's so
manners
sweet. Thank you.
manners are impeccable. That's because of the lineage, you know, the glorious lineage. And, you know, Madam Priya Dutt launched my book, To Cancer with Love, at Palladium Mall, Mumbai, and turned it into a bestseller. So it's so wonderful that today, again, ma'am, you are here to launch this book of mine.
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So, Rashima, regarding
No,
your
it's absolutely a pleasure for me.
Thank you. Rashima, regarding your question of why I wrote this book, you know, I Am Invincible actually continues my journey, my mission into writing books that celebrate courage and inspire and motivate. You know, the bitter truth about our lives is, our fleeting life on this planet is, that all of us are hurtling. We are on a fall into the inevitable end, death. But what do we do when we come face to face with it? Many people give up, others give in. Not these 13 champs of life, the warriors of life. When their everyday joys became acid washed, and when their tears dried up, they summoned the power of the human spirit, and they fought it so bravely. They won. So this book is about the you know, the incredible power, the limitless power of the human spirit, which all of us have, and we need a daily reminder of that. There are, you know, very fascinating stories. So I'll mention 3. One is about a young gang raped woman who has now gone on to build an amazing life, very inspirational, very powerful. She is an achiever in every way. Then there is the gentleman in New Zealand who decided to climb Mount Everest after he lost both his legs to double amputation. Also, the story of this other gentleman from USA who now travels the world solo, and he does so joyfully despite having 10 heart attacks and heart and kidney transplant. So I'm hoping that after my readers read this, they will say, oh, my own problems don't seem that big. So if they can fight it, I will also fight my adversity. Actually, this book is my special gift to my readers, to turn the grimness of the pandemic into one of sunshine, hope, and joy. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you said. And I think everything that you just said really comes across in the book as well, you know,
Thank you.
that resolute, unbeatable human spirit that we all have within us. And I think many of us don't even know it. We don't realize it because we haven't had an opportunity to realize it, but it's there, ready to show itself and come forth when it needs to. So thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing those that insight with us. I now have a question for Priya, ma'am. Ma'am, you've been doing some truly wonderful work, for cancer patients through your foundation, the Nargis Dutt Foundation. I'm sure you've come across many, many stories of courage and fortitude through your work as well. Now, I Am Invincible also has some amazing stories of people who've survived and triumphed over cancer. Could you tell us what was it about this book that touched you the most? And if you would like to read us your favorite part or a few lines, it would be lovely.
Yeah. So thank you so much, first of all, for having me here. And when I received the book from Neelam ji, I started reading, and I started with a couple of chapters, and I couldn't put it down. So I read the entire book, and every story was so inspiring. And I think what was really great about it was that every single person will relate to something or the other in the story. There is anyone who reads it. So when I read it, I could relate to so many aspects of those people's lives, which maybe I had gone through in a little way. And it just inspired me so much, and I especially want to say, like Neelam ji said, there are 2 or 3 stories which really touched me. And one was Farida's, and about how she brought humor into her troubled life, and how she just addressed life directly. I think I love that about her. And I think that's something which everyone must do. It just puts you in a different plane. Otherwise, when you go through something, you always feel I'm the only one going through it. And why me? The first question a person asks themselves is, why me? Till you see someone else worse than you. And you realize, my God, what I'm going through is really nothing. So I think these are great, wonderful stories for every person, because I don't believe life is smooth sailing for anyone. There will always be upheavals in life. You will see the highest mountains and you will see the valleys, but it is how you face each one of them. It's how you ground yourself and say, this too shall pass and I will fight this through. And I think that is the story of courage and hope, which this book really talks about. So I'd love to read a little part of Farida's story. And I really related to it because I also worked with children with disabilities, differently abled children. I saw their parents, I saw what their struggles were. And I've seen cancer in my family. I've seen both my mother, my sister-in-law, now my brother fight that through. I've seen their courage, seen their positivity through the struggle of cancer as well. So I think a lot of things really touched my heart in this book. So it's beautiful, Neelam ji, really.
Thank you so much.
So I want to start reading this this book, this part about Farida Rizwan, where she addresses Zindagi, life. Dear Zindagi, it might come as a surprise to you when I say I love you. Tough for you to believe, huh? Since you may feel you do not deserve my love. Hey, come out of your guilt, my Zindagi. I know you have been tough, even nasty at times. But did you also not ensure that I never gave up on you? Not once did I say, I will surrender to death. Instead, I fought hard, even sacrificing my hair and breast to save you. You know why? Because I loved you and valued you. I believed that there was still hope for you to change and improve from the nasty monster you were trying to be. Also, in your favor, I can say that at least you were never boring. In fact, you were certainly spicier than all the Andhra and Mexican dishes I had tasted so far. I know our Bollywood is famous for masala stories and tear-jerkers, which it faithfully churns out year after year. Honestly, my dear Zindagi, Only you could beat Bollywood with the plot you churned out for me, casting me as the lead character. A torrential rain of problems descended on me in quick succession. Here are some. My dad was diagnosed with cancer in 1992. My sister was diagnosed with breast cancer in 94. My daughter was diagnosed as a special needs child in 95. And as if all were not enough, I was diagnosed with third stage breast cancer. And do you know the timing of it? My lump was discovered when I was breastfeeding my little baby girl of 11 months and taking care of my 4-year-old son. Yes, you were on a roll back then, sliding through my life with all your fangs spread wide. Uncharacteristically, I just might have stopped down to hating you and cursing you. But that was for a very short time, believe me. I discovered that the rebel in me was not dead after all. I bounced back, stood tall on my club foot, and threw a challenge at you. My dear Zindagi, you will not lead me, I will. So I thought this was amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a wonderful.
Thank you so much, Priya ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me into this book.
Oh my.
I think it was one of my favorite parts too, the one that you just read out.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Lovely.
It really resonates when you read this particular part, and it talks of the courage and the never say die spirit of a person who's battling so many odds. It's indeed, Priya ma'am, you have chosen the right
Absolutely.
excerpt from the book,
Thank you.
which brings out the soul of the very of the soul of the book itself.
Priya ma'am, you also
Yes,
said
yes.
that you loved Urvi's submissive story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did, again, like I said, I related to, the love which she expressed between the husband and wife, and the strength the family was to her, and the resilience of her child when she came to know about her mother's illness. And I resonated with that because I myself went through that whole thing with my mom, and I saw the dedication of my father towards her and her illness. And I was about 12 years old at that time, and I, when she says, my daughter, the moment I told her I was suffering from cancer, that was that moment. After she cried and everything, she grew up. And so it a child is very resilient to a situation, and I feel that's why children, especially kids, go through childhood cancers, can fight it so well, because for them it's about the moment. It's about, everything is about now, and I'm facing that adversity right now, and they move on. So I think that's the strength and resilience of a child.
How wonderful. Thank you so much for this share.
Thank you so much, Priya ma'am, for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
And may I also just say once more how much all of us admire the noble work that you're doing through your foundation.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's
very much.
wonderful. All right.
Thanks.
I have a question for you, Suhail. As one of the country's premier literary agents, you've worked on hundreds of books, you've represented them, you've secured publishing deals. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey with this book, and what was it about it that convinced you to take it on for representation?
Thank you so much for the question, Rashima. As they say, every book has its own journey. This one literally had a journey behind it, because what happened was that Neelam ma'am and I were, traveling for a literary festival together from Mumbai to Lonavala. And we hadn't met or interacted, prior to that. But during the course of our discussions, we realized that there were, several pertinent topics that, we could collaborate on, which would find a voice in the literary circle. So I think that was the genesis of, the book. And ma'am was, of course, full of ideas, and she was, telling us about a lot of these personalities. And, we thought that compiling a book which, really chronicles the triumph of human spirit would not only make for a good read, as an inspirational book, but would also turn into a self-help and motivational one, where people can read and get inspired and, infuse those aspects in their own very lives. So that is how, the book happened, and ma'am started working on it. We had, these stories ready with us, and yeah, that's how the process happened. What I feel really differentiates this book from any other is that the fact that Neelam ma'am has written it. So the point is that when we're talking about people who have come up triumphantly against all odds, any person who's a good writer, who's a good author, can write the book. But when you have someone like Neelam ma'am who has herself beaten the odds, multiple times, it adds more depth to the book. It gives it much more credibility. So I thought that it was a perfect amalgamation of an author writing on a subject she was very well versed with. And, that's how the book happened. And I'm glad that, the wonderful team at Fingerprint, powered by Pooja and, Shikha, were very kind enough and supportive during the entire course of the book, and they liked it. And the result is for all of us to see in front of us today.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
very much.
I think that's a lot of faith and support and encouragement coming in. And I think that is what is most important for any author.
True.
So that's wonderful. And I think the book is already a huge success. You can see that even some of the comments on Facebook, I can see that, people are loving it. And the book is available on Amazon. It's available across all major platforms as well as internationally. So this is for all the listeners out there. Do yourselves a favor and go and pick up a copy right away. Okay, moving on. Pooja, you came into the journey of the book next. So I'd love to know from you, what were your thoughts, your feelings when you read it for the very first time? And what was it about it that made you say to yourself, now this is something that we would just love to take on?
Thank you for the question, Rasha. You know what? I believe that those of us who are in the business of bringing out stories are, of course, in it for a whole bunch of reasons. I think that one purpose that is possibly common to all, and one that cinches the deal and brings it home, is to be able to tell stories that suffuse people with the sense of hope and wonder and belief. And I think Neelam's I Am Invincible ticked all of these boxes. It is sensitive, it's informed, it's informative, and it shares experiences of people from all walks of life who've faced these really strenuous times with grace and dignity and shown immense courage. So if you ask me, I'd say this is what hope literature looks like. So when Suhail at the Book Bakers made us the submission, it was a pretty unanimous yes from all of us. We wanted to be able to tell a particular story that told the stories of all those who faced such adversity and come out the other side with all heart. So that was it. I think the turnaround also was pretty quick. Suhail made the submission. I think within 2 weeks, we were in the process of signing the paper, and that was it. That urgent and that positive from our side.
Thank you so much, Pooja. Suhail is such an ace literary agent that he's even gone beyond his role. He ideated with us about the cover, the
I am sure Suhail is a powerhouse.
Yeah, he
so glad that he sends all of these wonderful submissions to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
I totally agree with that. And that's all the more love pouring in for the book, so much encouragement. I think can't get better than that. Congratulations again, Neelam ma'am. I'm going to have to congratulate you again.
Thank you.
Ashwini sir, I'd like to ask you a question now. You're a renowned journalist, you're a best-selling author yourself. In your work, also you come across, I'm sure, a lot of stories of courage and fortitude. What did you think of the writing style and the narration of this book? And was there any one specific story that you thought was particularly moving or particularly stirring?
Well, That's a very difficult question to answer if you talk in terms of picking up one story from what Neelam has written, the 13 stories of grit and determination, of hope, of fighting against all odds. It's extremely difficult. Every story has something which moves you, it motivates you, and also takes you to the next higher plane of human endeavor, of human spirit. Well, to begin with, the best story which I like is Neelam. Neelam herself is a story. And the best story that I have experienced over
Oh,
a long period of time.
oh,
She describes herself as not a survivor, but as a thriver.
Oh,
Now, that's a great word to use, thriver. You need to thrive despite the adversity. You don't have to just survive, you have to thrive. And Neelam, that particular word in your preface, which says that I am a thriver, actually sums up everything about this book. All these 13 people have not only survived, they have thrived. The person who is a double amputee, the rape survivor, the domestic violence person, then the throat cancer, all sorts of adversity the people have had in this particular, the 13 people that you have chosen to write about in the book. All of them have that spirit of not only surviving, but thriving, and they indeed are like Neelam is. So Neelam, you herself are such a beacon of hope and motivation for a whole lot of people, including myself. Firstly, I will stand first in the line and say like Amitabh Bachchan की जहाँ हम खड़े हो जाते हैं वहीं से लाइन शुरू होती है. तो नीलम ये जो है हम सबसे पहले खड़े हैं, हमसे ही लाइन शुरू.
Arre, Ashwini ji, thank you so much.
So basically, all ABs have a copyright on that dialogue.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah, so what I was saying was that when you read the 13 accounts which Neelam has so lucidly put together in this book, she also says in the preface that when she was going through a process and a period of adversity in her own life, she dipped into her infinite imagination. She dipped into her infinite imagination and came out wet to the core. Neelam, that thing, that dip is still lingers. And whenever you write, whenever you speak, you leave little puddles of emotion, moist areas of empathy, which lubricate, in this particular book's case, which lubricate the reader's response to the situations that the 13 people, remarkable people, faced during their life. That like I said, the little puddles, those little puddles make all the difference of emotion that you scatter throughout the book. As far as the writing style is concerned, I would say that you haven't used the interview, the technique of interview, the tool of interview in getting the person to speak out. Now that's a very interesting thing to do because the person we are reading about speaks directly to the reader. So I think that tool is well worth the effort that you put in, and the narrative flows beautifully. I was very, very moved while reading about this rape survivor, thriver rather. I would just take away the word survivor from my dictionary.
Survivor.
I would say that thriver, this rape thriver, the person who had voice of throat of cancer and had to be operated upon, and her voice was removed. And another story which really motivates you is about that domestic abuse. Now, domestic abuse is rampant, and to go through that process, come out with the human spirit intact is a great thing to do. Neelam, the whole book, takes you on a emotional ride, and when the ride ends, it's such a moment of quiet. When you're with yourself, there's a bit of halchal in your heart, because you are relating to those experiences. And the book, it lingers on much after you have closed the book and kept it away. It's there in your mind, and it sits as a sediment in your mind.
Thank you so much for your encouraging words.
You're welcome, Neelam, and you know that you are doing wonderful work, and I, for one, can say that I really appreciate whatever you're doing.
So same pinch.
That's a huge compliment, particularly coming from one author to another. Neelam ma'am, you must be, that's music to your ears, as it is to any author. So
absolutely.
Could you tell us a little bit? I have a question. So we'd love to know about the change in title. In the book when you were trying to decide the title. If you could share that little story that, yeah.
Okay. So Rashima, yes, I had titled it Yes, I Can, which we then decided that it's a bit weak. And then we started ideating, and we came up with this idea of I am Invincible, 13 tales of courage, grit, and survival. And the best part is I have Fingerprint, Pooja, and the entire marketing, the designer team to thank. I think the cover that they have made, somebody in the US and the UK told me it's a very international look. So I'm really, really grateful for that. Thank you very much, Fingerprint.
It's our pleasure. Absolutely, completely.
If I could just add to that. So basically what happened was, Neelam ma'am and I were having a chat. What Yes, I Can basically connotes is that it basically means that you can do something. You're, able to do something, but whether you've actually gone on to do it or not, there's no, finality on that. But when you say I am invincible, you can only be invincible once you've triumphed over a particular thing or occasion or a person. So that's why we wanted to bring in a more definite title, and that conveys the right kind of belief that the book is bringing out. Also what happens is that invincible in itself is victorious, but what people also fail to realize is that invincible is another word which encompasses the word win in it, so it adds another dimension to the same, which is why we wanted to bring it out. And then of course we had a discussion regarding the launch, and Neelam ma'am and I and everyone else was having a chat as to who we should bring on as the chief guest for the session. And I knew of course that Neelam ma'am knew Priya ji, but we were just having a chat, and I thought that someone who's very well versed with what the topic of the book is, and I think grit, courage, determination, resilience goes very well with the Dutt family. But as you mentioned, Rashima, and my parents also told that Dutt Saab used to actually go with Bollywood troops and in difficult times for the Jawans, and give them, instill hope in them, and courage in them. That was precisely what Neelam ma'am was also trying to do with this book. So who better than her? And in fact,
Yes.
just as we were having this chat, another point came to my mind, which was that Neelam ma'am has written Manisha Koirala's book, and Manisha Koirala actually played Priya ma'am's mother in the biopic Sanju. So
Yeah.
So a lot of
In
things
the
are
biopic,
matching
yeah.
over there. So yeah, I think it's a perfect choice, and I think
Connected,
that's what
I know.
resonates with the book. So yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you.
Right, that was lovely. And, Neelam ma'am, I have another question for you, and this is something that I would love to hear from you. Could you tell us how easy or difficult it is, for an author to chronicle various personalities in one book and sort of justify their journeys? Also, what are the challenges one faces in concepts such as these?
Thank you, Rashida, for this question. I must say it wasn't easy. Emotionally, it was not easy. I had to remain objective while I felt their pain in my heart. Sometimes listening to their stories and writing it, I felt the fierceness of emotion of a grade 5 typhoon. And then I had to be very careful not to over-identify, but be objective and try and create a narrative that is that does justice to them. So it was really beautiful. The only thing that I feel a little sad about is that I had to leave out the stories of many, many inspirational warriors, which I hope to continue as a series, because I personally feel, and Priya ma'am will also agree, that courage of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, that needs to be amplified. Survivors' voice needs to be amplified. So just for the information of all, starting this Friday, Friday 9th, no, not this Friday, Friday 9th, April, I will be hosting the Invincible talks, bringing one warrior each every time on my Instagram live handle, which is at Life Coach Neelam. So I would love you all to just drop by and cheer these real life heroes on. Thank you.
Absolutely, we will.
That's a wonderful idea. Yeah. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Great initiative, Neelam. Congratulations. It's a great initiative.
Thank you so much.
Right. And do you have a favorite story? I know it's difficult to be partial, but they're all very special. But if you have a favorite story, share it with us. And we'd love to hear you read out something from the book.
Oh, okay. So I don't know how a mother can choose 1 out of 10, you know.
13.
But what I'll do is, since Priya ma'am has already read a portion of her favorite story, I'm going to read out 4 quotations. You know, they are from everywhere in this book. So the first one says, "Who was it who said, anyone can give up? It's the easiest thing in the world to do. But to hold it together when everyone else would understand if you fell apart, that's true strength." The second quotation, "The nature of life is to fluctuate up and down, between happiness and sorrow, between day and night, between storms and calm. So what keeps the winners holding right during life's roller coaster ride? The conviction that it will get better one day." The third one, "So when the darkest of adversity strikes, do reflect on the winner's formula. Focus on the silver lining, on the light at the tunnel's end, on the magic of staying alive." And the last one, "The champions of life in this anthology are all those who beat the deepest of adversities, held on to hope, and did not give up until they claimed their champion's crown. Hope is free, hope is within, hope is the game changer."
Lovely.
Thank you.
And people are loving it. I think I'm going to read out 1 or 2 of the comments that are coming in. So Mr. Jang Jaswal says, "We've been on this ride forever and scared, but this book inspires us to enjoy it, both while going up and down."
You know who he is?
Oh, nice.
He is the thriver who has had 10 heart attacks. He's in the US. So I'm so glad he has joined right now, in spite of his, heart and kidney transplant. And so, hello, Jang. I mean, I know he can't hear me, but.
Yeah, I think he's waving back.
Okay, I'll have him on my Invincible talk soon.
And people are loving the cover too, as well as the title. There's a lot of appreciation coming in for that, so I can see that. like I said, the book is already a huge success.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And yeah, it's going to be.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now I have a question for everyone, and any one of you could take it, or all of us could, try to answer it. If one of the stories in this book was to be made into a movie, which one would it be and why?
Well,
Please
Yes,
go
sir.
ahead.
Please go ahead.
the Rape Survivor story. I think that's a story of true of a person who comes out of a situation and thrives so wonderfully. It's a complete trance. So I would vote for it.
Ashwini ji, she is coming on my Invincible talks soon.
Yeah.
So you can hear her story of all the ways she has rebuilt her life now.
Yeah.
And
It's really amazing.
She's amazing. Yeah.
she's amazing.
She's truly inspirational.
Truly, yeah.
And I think the way she has actually led it and really bounced back, and it's quite very courageous of her.
Absolutely.
If I were
But
to make
if I were to make,
yeah, please,
Sorry?
please, Priyaji.
no. I was saying if I had to make a movie, I would make short stories on all the lives.
Oh, how lovely.
I think each one tells such a beautiful story.
Oh,
Each one is so it would be a series of short stories.
How lovely. I hope some web series maker is listening to this.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure you're going to start getting calls
They should.
very soon. Yeah. Suhail, would you like to also, answer this? If you have a favorite story that you feel would make a good movie?
See, basically, as Priyaji rightly mentioned, it's very difficult to choose a favorite only in two circumstances, either when the stories are equally bad or are equally good. Over here, thankfully, it's the latter. And but from a purely Bollywood point of view, I would like to mention Mr. Jung Jaswal, who we were speaking about recently. Why? Because that story has traverses various different types of human emotions, and how you come across someone whose family member has donated organs to you, and at the same point of time how you build the bond with that particular family and treat them as your own. So it's a story that has hardships, it has a story which has a lot of emotions, and at the end of the day it's about as Karan Johar says, loving your family, but here it is loving your extended family too. So I think that also comes across very strongly. So I think that would make for a very heart-touching movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely. His name is Jung. Usne jung ladi hai life se.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just thinking exactly that.
Yeah.
And what about you, Pooja? Do you have a favorite story?
I think it's so criminal to choose one out of all of these wonderful stories. But if I do have to pick favorites, I'm going to second Suhail and pick Jung's story. This was part of the 4 stories that made to the submission that was made to us years ago. I remember reading his, and pretty soon into the story, he uses these words by E.E. Cummings, which says that I carry your heart with me and I carry it in mine. That was so poetic, and it said everything. I think, I remember thinking that I think Cummings would have probably written these words for this particular moment. It was so befitting. So I think that it was extremely heart-touching. And then it kind of also came full circle towards the end of his story, where he met the wife of the organ donor, and she came in and hugged him and heard the heart beating, which was formerly her husband's. I thought that I had goosebumps. And I think that part has always stayed with me. So yeah, I'll completely second Suhail and say that, yeah, Jung's story has always stayed with me.
Yeah, it's
Possibly that.
incredible. Yeah.
It is.
And this is for the audience. Please do type in any questions
I
in the
think
chat box.
Ashwini has a story. Yeah, he told.
Yeah, he has. He wanted to attempt it first off. So, and I felt that the story that he spoke about was also very touching. So, particularly very, very emotional. So, yeah. If there are any questions, we'd like to take those as well. But there are some very heartening comments coming in, which I'd like to read out. So Lalita ma'am, Lalita Balasubramanian writes, "Hope is the game changer." Wonderful. She loved that quote that you used. And Shravasti Sanyal says, "Congratulations, ma'am. You look so lovely."
You know, this, I'm wearing a sari given by her for this occasion. So thank you, Shravasti.
Well, beautiful comments coming in. So you might want to take a look there. Anju Kapani also loved the quotes that you read out a while ago.
So, you know, as my parting quote, I would like to say, hope is a decision, but it is the most important decision.
True, true.
Yes,
That's
that's
true.
Very true.
That's food for thought. Absolutely. So it was a pleasure having all of you. I think, like I said, the book is going to be a stellar success. And we are looking forward to a sequel. So do keep that in mind, ma'am. I think you need to start working on a sequel very soon.
Thank you so much. And my
That's the person you need to talk to about that.
My special thanks to Priya ma'am and to this wonderful glittering panel, Rashima, to Ashwini ji, and Suhail and Pooja. Thank you very much for making my special day so very special, Priya ji. Bless
Thank you so much.
No, not at all. You're a special person, Neelima ji. So thank you.
I am.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you, Priya ma'am. It was a pleasure to have you. And Neelam ma'am, once again, heartiest congratulations.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for having us. Been a very
wonderful
invigorating
meeting
session.
everyone.
Yes, likewise.
Absolutely.
Likewise.
Let's hold the book up once more.
Pooja and Suhail and
Thank you so much.
I Am Invincible. Absolutely fantastic book. Please pick it up. Do yourselves a favor. This is for all the listeners. Pick it up.
I'd also like to thank 3 more people, Siddharth, Nirvan, and Manas Lal, for the back-end support that they've given for the session. And Neeraj Chawla from Fingerprint for designing the creatives. So these 3 people also played a very crucial role. So thanks.
Thank you very much.
In order to them as well. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
everyone, just go buy this wonderful book. It's beautiful. Content is beautiful. It's being published by one of India's leading publishing houses and written by one of India's foremost authors. So it's available everywhere. Go buy a copy today. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a lovely evening, everyone.
Take care.
Bye-bye.